Where am I in the frame right now? Am I good? Do I need to scoot over?
No, you're good.
You're looking handsome there.
Thank you.
Don't talk to him that way. This is professional. Okay.
You're my house. I have the right to talk.
This wouldn't happen back in the 70s.
Silent on set, please.
What did you say?
I said silent on set, please. I meant quiet. That's what they actually say. Quiet on set, please. Genevieve, please. There's no time to burp right now. Hello and welcome to Livin La Liga Loca.
Your first and only source of news for La Liga Bautista Hispana.
Call me Ron.
And I'm Joshua.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
Well, we got a great show for you tonight. Gonna follow the same format we've been following.
Since the dawn of time.
Since the dawn, not even the dawn of this show. This is a formula we got into about 3 weeks in.
Very honestly, yeah.
But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So the first match we're going to go over from last week, Joshua, is Willie and the Boys versus the Cracker Cruncher.
Yeah, I was mentioning this to you before. Like, this has been a great week all around. This game is one of them.
Yeah, this was a good one. And if you'll recall from last week on our show, I told you the little anecdote that Jason was like, oh, my team's going to lose. I can always tell day one. Yep. And I took the position, I'm not so sure.
We both did.
That's why we are the #1 trusted source for news.
For La Primera Liga Bautista Hispana.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Only source of news there is.
We nailed it.
Yeah.
I mean, what can we say? Don't even congratulate Jason. Congratulate us, because we knew what was up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And honestly, if it wasn't for RotoWire, I don't think we could be where we are today.
Yeah. How can you?
How can you?
Yeah. What the RotoWire is what I like to call the gift that keeps on giving.
The roto that keeps on wiring.
Get rotoed. Get wired.
RotoWire. Please sponsor us, RotoWire. I'm a huge fan. I've been waiting.
Hit us up.
Calling.
Oh, I do need to say, I should have started with this. This episode is sponsored by our longtime friends over at Dutch Bros. Are you tired of French girlses? Get Dutch Bros.
That's beautiful. I love you too, Dutch Bros. Can't have any of what you're serving, unfortunately, due to unforeseen health conditions. But I'd still drink it.
Nice.
Dutch Bros to die for.
Well, the next match we're going to cover is the reigning Conacher.
We didn't cover the first match.
No, that's like I said. We don't need to talk.
Jason went against Moy and Jason won.
Yeah, all we needed to go over is that we were right. What else is there to talk about?
Nothing else.
Moy's team, I guess, getting decrepit and falling apart and being injured, I guess, is pretty bad. But anyway, the important thing is we were right.
We were right, yeah.
You know, that's the league essentially exists to prop up this show, is what I have found.
Or does the league exist for the show to prop up? Because without the show, the league would be nothing.
Good point. So the reigning Conacher
yeah.
versus Mix's matchless team.
Oh, yeah.
This one was a match to watch.
Yes.
Gotta tell you. You know, and you go in, you think, okay, Ben had a tough loss the week before this to a charming, handsome gentleman. And, you know, you say, okay, is he going to bounce back against Mix's team? Mix's team is like the dark horse of the league to me.
Yes.
You know, if you look at teams that can surprise you, to me, it's him.
Turned it around, and week after week, his team has been performing.
Mm-hmm. And so, you know, there were times in the week where I was thinking, man, I really, you know, Ben was projected to win. But there were times in the week where you just thought, like, man, I think Mix is going to pull it off. I think he's going to pull off another one.
I genuinely believe Mix would pull it off.
Yeah.
Genuinely, yeah.
But the heart is deceitful above all things.
Who can understand it? Not me.
Not me.
Not me, the one studying cardiology.
Yeah. Yeah. And anyway, so you look there again. Nail biter, but Ben did pull it off. Back in the win column.
Yeah, both of them still putting up plenty of points.
Oh, yeah.
Ben was like 151, which is huge, mixed with 144, still huge. Would have beat out pretty much everybody.
Literally everyone else. Those are the worst games to lose. When you would have
Yeah.
beaten anyone else. That's rough. I feel for you, Mix. I feel for
Definitely
you.
makes it really intense to watch. Definitely intense to be a part of, for sure.
Yeah. Now, the next one I want to talk about is total eclipse of the heart,
Yes.
defeating the newly renamed Kings Dethroned.
Unfortunately.
Kings
you know.
Dethroned. And, is it safe to say that the Joshua curse is back?
I don't even want to talk about it because I feel like it'll turn around and stab me in the back as soon as it started. For like 5 weeks, I had injuries upon injuries upon injuries, and every time I pick up someone up, they're injured. Had to shift them out again. So I can't even say for sure if it's back or if it's just lulling me into a false sense of security.
Yeah. Could be. Could
Is
be.
lulling a word?
Lulling is a word, yes.
Nice.
Pacifying is a synonym for
Nice.
that. Well, so,
Would be seducing another synonym.
it would not be another synonym, I do not believe.
Can I not lull you away?
So George had multiple serious injuries
Yep.
this week, and
Yep.
the birth of a child, I believe, from Troy Taylor. if I'm
Not more
mistaken.
serious than the rejection to my heart, but I'm sure it's pretty bad.
We're gonna move on. So the next one, David the Vulture Kachiks versus the Alphas. Let me tell you about the Alphas.
Yeah.
I believe I said last week, and I still stand by it. I said last week that I believe the 6 teams that are currently in a playoff position will be the 6 teams that qualify for playoffs. I still stand by that prediction.
Okay.
However,
Yes.
However,
Yes.
I would like to change who I think could sneak into the playoffs. If I could pick one team to sneak in, I would pick the Alphas.
I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
I think we mentioned it on the last episode that Cho's kind of a streaky team. But lately, his team has been performing pretty well. And I think that's to be seen with this victory against Kachiks.
Mm-hmm. And, Ovechkin's healthy again.
Yes.
Which
Which is huge for his team.
He's got great players on there.
He is after those records, man. And as long as he's after those records, he's going to be performing as long as his health allows him to.
Mm-hmm. And I think that I think the Alphas are a team to watch.
Definitely.
All right, the next one was probably the most exciting match, maybe of the year, right? Which was between Embrace the Suck and Hey Macarena.
Oh my goodness. It's a tragedy when these things end the way they do, but also the most exciting thing for the victor.
And I've got to tell you, I believe this is the closest match in the history of this league. At the very least, it has to be tied for it.
Yes.
Because it's impossible to have a closer margin than the one we saw, which was a margin of 0.2 points. And I got to tell you, Joshua, I was sitting on my couch right there watching the Golden Knights game, which was the final game of the week between these two. And David, Greater David, had his goalie in net. And if he had made one more save, it would have been a tie game.
Yep.
And I have to tell you, I just watched the last 2 minutes of that game the whole time on the edge of my seat because I knew what the score was. I knew what it would be. And I could not believe that who did they play? I don't even remember who the Knights played, but, the Wild.
Yes.
I could not believe, it was like the last 3 minutes of the game. The Wild could not get one shot on the net. One shot is all they needed to at least tie this. Couldn't happen.
That's
It
why I
was
love the
thrilling.
Knights so much. That's why I love the Knights so much, man. Big fan.
Bro, on the real, that they are nasty.
Yeah.
They are such a nasty team.
Yes, absolutely.
Man. Anyway, well done, Hey Macarena and Embrace the Suck for giving us really just one humdinger of a match.
Absolutely.
And with a margin that tight, now I know what a TV dinner feels like.
Me too. Well, congratulations to Armando for that very exciting victory. And do we see Armando in the same light when it comes to playoffs? He's in the 6th position right now, I believe, still, right?
He's in the 5th now.
He's in the 5th.
He's up to
now.
the 5th.
So he's just securing himself even further for that.
I think he makes it, for sure.
Yeah.
I think he makes it.
I was thinking, if anyone was going to drop, it might be him. But, things do not seem to be going that way anymore. I think I'm going to have to retract that statement.
I will agree with you.
Yeah.
If the Alphas sneak in, I do think it's at the expense of Embrace the Suck, just because I have never seen someone's team hate them as much as Armando's team hates him.
Yeah.
They look at the scoreboard, they say, okay, cool, the other team's scoring a ton of points. We can score a ton of points too, just not quite as much.
Yeah.
Right? And then the next week they look at the scoreboard and they say, oh, okay, cool. We're playing a really underperforming team. Let's all underperform.
Yeah.
Let's do that this week. And
He just reads the room really well.
Exactly. Yeah. Even I would argue even last week they looked around, they said, oh, looks like Greater David's kind of underperforming. We should underperform too. And you just have to think that in the locker room of Armando's fantasy team right now, they're all sitting around going, shoot. We misjudged it by one shot.
I think Armando is the one who sent the text in the group chat saying, we are currently having the biggest mid-off of the season.
Yeah, and it was.
It absolutely was.
And it was. But it was an exciting mid-off, so well done, both of you.
Great job, guys. Great job.
And then there is one final game that we should touch on between the Aurelian Empire versus Commission Possible.
You don't want to go deeper into it rather than just touching on it? We can go break down in depth of what went on.
We'll take a unique angle with this. We will instead focus on what one of the people in that game is currently feeling, which is dejection, hopelessness, just in general, just a very bleak outlook on life.
Yeah.
As one new life comes into the world, the inner life dies. And, what else can you say?
You can probably say the same thing that you told to Ben last week.
Bottom line, if my fantasy team isn't winning, where do I find joy?
So I couldn't even tell you. And your brothers that are here for you, and no one else is.
Thank you.
Not me though. Probably someone else in the world.
You
didn't put me into the playoffs, so I'm.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't thinking you for sure. I was thinking of this other guy. I knew. Yeah.
Another TV dinner.
Another. Yeah. Well, that brings us to this week.
Yeah, it does.
One thing I really like about this show that I certainly never saw with David the Lesser. You and I are just always so in sync.
Absolutely.
I
we know how to
you
bounce.
take, you take, I give, I zig, you zag, We're always in sync.
We always bounce off of each other so well all the time. And we have this flow that we definitely do not have with anybody else. And I felt that with Lesser David.
I think one of the problems, I don't think Lesser David has that flow with anyone.
Yeah, I don't have violent tendencies when I talk to anybody else, as I do with Lesser David.
That's fair. That's a fair reaction. Well,
I believe so.
This week we have the Alphas going head-to-head, mano-y-mano, against the Cracker Cruncher.
Ooh.
And I gotta tell you, Alphas all the way. Like I said, Alphas are a team on the right. I'm going to make a bold prediction right now. Right here on this show. Ask me how many wins I think Moy gets before the end of this season.
How many wins does Moy get before the end of this season?
I am going to bet right now that between now and the end of this season, Moy gets one more win.
Really?
Yes.
That is a pretty bold claim.
I predict one more win.
One more win. Who will that win be against?
I believe he is going to further dethrone the Kings.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah. How about you? Who do you pick? Alphas or the Cracker Cruncher?
I'm going to have to go against you. I think I'm going to be going for the Cracker Cruncher on this one.
You are going...
Well, going for is strong words. I think Cracker Cruncher is going to win.
And what are you basing that on, if you don't mind my asking?
Honestly, the stats that I'm looking at right now. So, we got... I think we can kind of mention this as just one day into the week. Right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not the type of person to be like, oh, well, we got stats for one day, I can predict my whole league with that.
Mhm.
Like, no, not at all. If anything, I've been the complete opposite. I need information, I need a lot of records and stuff like that. However, I think this one might be just a little bit of a dip for Cheo. Currently, he's projected to do very much well above Moy, but currently he's got 3 games with Moy only having 2. And with those 3 games, Cheo has put up 6.8 points, and Moy, with those 2 games, put up 14.6. So I'm not saying like this has solidified it for Moy, but it's going to be a little bit of a rough start for Cheo if it keeps up like this.
All right, that's a fair take. It's wrong, but it's fair.
I think it'll be close at the very least. I think we might see a comeback for Moy for the remainder of the season.
We'll see. We'll see. And I love you, Moy, but I just don't know.
I love neither of you.
Well, that brings us to David the Vulture Kacheeks versus Kings Dethroned. And, George, I love you. I certainly hope that you beat Lesser David, but I just don't see it. I think I have to go with David the Vulture Kacheeks here.
Currently, right now, I don't see it. I think David the Kacheeks is going to win.
Mm-hmm.
However, man, I've been hearing things going on in the background when it comes to David the Lesser's team, and it's really hard to know what's going on in his head. I don't know if he's going to be taking playoffs seriously, if he's going to be shooting for that playoff position, or if he's going to not, maybe save stuff for the next season.
It comes to a certain point, I don't think he knows what's going on in his head.
Yeah.
You have him say, hey, look, it's Austin Matthews, the guy that's so injured, he had to fly to Europe to get checked out. Here's what I'll do. I'll trade my best player for him.
Yeah.
Hasn't worked out.
Nope.
Shockingly, when a player is so hurt that they have to see a specialist in Europe, shockingly, they're not having a career year.
And honestly, the only reason I'm bringing this up is because of the stuff that he said while at church, while in the temple of the Lord. It's not a secret to anybody, I believe. He said this to pretty much everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's selling, is what we were told. He is selling. However, David himself now turns around and says, I am not selling.
One thing you can't take away from David is that there is a level of unearned confidence that I don't think I've ever seen before.
Yeah.
And so when everyone's looking at him and saying, yeah, he's out for sure, he knows he's in.
I think he was counting himself as out, but when everybody started saying he's out, he's like, well, now I'm not out.
It's that Chihuahua mindset.
The female mind, who can understand it, is wicked, deceitful above all else.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah, that is what
That's
they
what
say.
they say.
I think I'm gonna have to edit that out if I want to live to see.
You might have to edit that one out.
Yeah. Your wife already gave me a dirty look, and I was like, okay, dude, you have a baby in your hands, calm down.
Well, that brings us to the reigning Konica versus Haymakar Reina, and I'm just gonna go off the projections here. Ben is just, projected to just smack the mess out of David here.
Yep.
Now, asterisk. I can think of, a bright-eyed youth in the prime of his life that was also projected at this point in the week to be smacked around by Ben, and Ben did go on to blow that.
Yeah.
So, could go either way.
That's the thing. Ben has a really strong team, but every now and then they do have their streakiness to it. And I think it showed a lot going against you, which was a pretty serious game because it did knock him down 2 games. But then we saw the same thing happen with you, that after that loss against the Aurelian Empire, knocked you down 2 ranks as well.
Yeah, my team enjoys letting me down.
No, they love you. Absolutely, they play for you, man.
Oh, thank you, Joshua. Wow. Oh, thank you. Well, who do you think's going to win that match, Joshua?
Man, it is hard to say. Again, I'm looking at the stats here, and you're right. You're absolutely correct. Ben is set right now to just completely obliterate Greater David, just to completely defeat him. And the number of games supports that too. Ben having more games than David. However, I think the same thing might happen, and Ben's team might underperform a bit. I think David is not as out for the count as we believe it. It's going to be a close match, I think. It's really hard to tell who's going to win. In my heart of hearts, my Reinhardt, I want to say better David is going to win.
I would like to say that too. I don't see it.
I see it.
I don't see it.
I see it. I see it as clearly as I see Reinhardt in my dreams. Better David is going to walk away with a victory.
All right, you heard it here.
I believe in you, Better David.
He is staking his claim to Reinhardt on this match.
I don't think that's what I said, but
If he gets this one wrong, Reinhardt will no longer show up in his dreams. You heard it here on Livin La Liga Loca. And we'll be back after a word from our sponsors.
and we're back. What is the next thing?
Well, that brings us, Joshua, to Embrace the Suck versus Willie and the Boys. Now, Willie and the Boys had a rough first day.
Mhm.
Not horrible, but not what they would want.
Yeah.
And so Embrace the Suck is projected for a slight win, but again, you just, man, Armando's team hates him.
Well, he didn't have any games today. Is the thing.
No, they didn't. But what I'm saying is he's projected to win, but it's Armando's team, and they just don't like him.
Equal amount of games too.
They find him distasteful.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think Armando's a fine young gentleman.
I'm sure he tastes fine.
I think you might need to edit that one out too.
No, that's what distasteful is referring to, right? Without taste.
I'm gonna say Willie and the Boys comes away with the win on this one. How about you, Joshua?
I'm gonna say Armando and his flavors will be having that victory.
Oh, you heard it here. Armando and the Flavors coming out with a win.
Yeah.
Now, next we have the Aurelian Empire versus just a red-hot manager, smart as a pistol, total eclipse
Oh shoot, it is me. That's
of
right.
the
I forgot.
heart. It is you.
Yeah, I'm super worried about this game.
I think you're going to win. Do you want to know why?
Why?
The Joshua curse is back.
He already has Eichel day to day.
And let's be frank.
I can't be frank. I'm out.
L-
Wrong.
Leo,
Uh-huh.
new sheriff in town.
I support that. I
He's
second
number
that.
one. I think for maybe the first, or maybe it's the second time he's been ranked one this season.
You-
And new sheriff.
You know what I'm starting to think? I think first place is cursed.
You know, I don't think there's been a single time that I've held first place for longer than 1 week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But also we had Ben who reached first place.
Gets
Was
knocked
there for
down.
about like 2 weeks.
And
maybe?
you know,
Knocked
maybe,
down.
maybe you could call that the curse of Moy. You know, Moy held first
Started
place
with Moy.
for what, 4 or 5 weeks straight?
If he could not have first place, no one can.
Yeah, took it down with him.
But something that I do see have going for me is that Reinhardt is seemingly back. With today putting up 7.8 points for me. And he did this last week too. Last week he put up 11 points in a game. Crazy. And you know,
Watch out, Leo.
I'm so happy that Reinhardt is finally performing again. I changed my name to Total Eclipse of the Heart because I need you now, tonight.
Turn around.
And I need you more than ever. But yeah. Okay, I'm done now. I don't know if we can like sing. Can we sing?
I think you can sing.
What if we get like
I don't think they copyright strike you for singing.
but my voice is just so good. And,
I did feel like I was listening to a recording. I'm not going to lie.
yeah. People tell me very frequently how much I sound like her.
That's what I was thinking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the final match we'll talk about is my own, which is Commission Possible versus Mix's matchless team. And I'm going to make the prediction right now. I think Mix takes it.
Really?
I do.
You do have a pretty strong team. Again, like we have streakiness as we do with Ben, but like it's always pretty tough to go against you guys.
I think
Honestly.
Mix pulls it out. Mix is a team on the rise. I really like Mix's team.
That's
I
the
think
thing
he pulls
too.
this one out.
He's been on the rise, and we've seen that
Mhm.
like a long time
He-
coming, and he does not seem to be slowing down.
He had a horrible record at one point this year.
Absolutely.
I think people forget that. At one point, he had a really, really miserable record. And here he is, he's gunning for like a top 3 spot at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's on it.
Like I just said, he's been on the rise and he does not show any signs of slowing down.
Nope.
That's the thing. Like a majority of his team is like extremely strong, very solid players to see. He doesn't seem to be relying on just one guy.
And one thing I think that really. You look at Mix's team, one thing he did so right, and I know there were a lot of question marks when he did it, is he with that second first-round pick he picked Leon Draisaitl. And a lot of people, myself included, thought, okay, yes, this could be a great pick. Maybe it doesn't work out too. And Leon Draisaitl, as of this recording, has more points than Connor McDavid does.
Yeah.
Reinhart. Even Reinhart the Great. And so I think that's really paying off for him. He's continuing. Today's game, Edmonton had 1 goal total, and I don't know if Reinhart scored or assisted, but he had a point on that goal. Reinhart. What's his name? Draisaitl.
Yes.
Draisaitl had a point. Draisaitl has been really, really solid, for Mix. And then on top of that, you have Mix, and he says, hey, I have this guy, Austin Matthews, and he's so hurt he has to fly to Europe. A different continent,
yes,
to get looked at. Maybe I can find some poor schmuck to trade me, like one of the top 7 scorers in the league, in the fantasy league. Maybe I can get him,
And he found him.
And he found him. He found him. Stunningly, there was actually someone clown enough in this league to make that trade. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I was actually pretty nervous for Mix because at the time, I was like, well, sure, but definitely Matthews comes back. I don't think he will.
Well, he is back playing now, and he had like 2 really strong games. He did, but then he's followed it up with 2 really horrendous games.
That's more what I was expecting.
And so,
if your surgery is that bad, if what you need fixed is that bad, that you need to fly to Europe for it because there's nothing to be done.
That's not something, I was just in the neighborhood. I thought I'd pop in by this really, really specialized surgeon's office. No.
Yeah, exactly. I would expect you to be out for the season.
I have just kind of a basic rule of thumb when I look at players that I'm trading for. I look that they are not so injured that they have to fly across the Atlantic Ocean to be treated.
That would raise
I find I have a level of success with that.
Some red flags would be raised for me, at least, If it was Reinhart being flown out, though, I might go to Europe with him.
Well, that brings us to our final segment, Mr. Joshua.
Yes.
Predicting the playoff picture.
Well,
and
you already mentioned
my
before.
playoff picture remains the same.
Yeah.
The 6 that are currently in it, which is Leo, Ben, Kurt, Greater David, Armando, and Mix.
Yeah. And looking at the thing, it's everyone who you said is still there.
I think that they hold on.
Some changes were made. Honestly, that's just more ranking than anything. Embrace the Suck moved up 1 and Mix dropped down 1.
Mm-hmm.
I have also moved a little bit closer from 8th to 7th. And if all things go well, I honestly don't know who's moving because I literally just forgot who's playing against who already. But, if right now we have Embrace the Suck, Mix, and myself, each of us 7-7. So that's in the air for all of us at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
We all need to be having very consistent victories. And that's something 2 of us are not really known for.
Yeah.
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 So honestly, you might be pretty on the nose with your own prediction. When it comes to myself, that's the thing too. You mentioned Alphas as a guy to look out for. And he has been shooting up in the rankings pretty recently. He's right behind me. He is literally right behind me. He is almost literally right behind me on the rankings and stuff. And honestly, he could take away this position from me too. Honestly, it won't be that much of a fight either. But, any one of us who's right there, honestly, between 6th through... Okay, this is the thing. If we're counting the Alphas with a record of 6 and 8, then we have to also be counting Willie and the Boys and Cracker Cruncher, also with 6 and 8.
I don't think we need to be considering them.
Really?
I think the Alphas are a step above. I'm not going to lie.
I respect that decision.
That's the team to look out for.
I respect that decision. But in that case, anyone between 6th to 8th, can technically be.
Oh yeah, oh for sure. I think 6th to 10th. Honestly.
Well, that's literally the opposite of what you told me just now.
No, but it was smarter when I said it.
Why am I here? Well, this is the Kurt show. This is the Kurt show, okay? If you wanted to have your own YouTube channel
call
so
me Ron.
much...
Call me Ron.
I won't call you Ron. What's wrong with you?
Oh! And that, folks, is how you end a show.
Is that how you end the show?
That's how you end the show.
If you wanted your own show, you could have just told me.
Thanks for tuning in to Livin La Liga Loca, folks. As always, I'm Kurt.
And I'm Joshua.
Have a nice day.
It's night.
Hi!